Welcome back to Heroes of Nottingham. We're here with another deck tech. This time for some Ruby Sapphire item ramp. I think this deck is in a great spot in the metagame for these upcoming set championships, so I figured it'd be a great time to break it down, talk about the cards that I've been playing recently, and help kind of give you the heads up as we're going into these set championship weeks. So starting off, we got Fishbone Quill. This is the card that kind of makes the deck work. It's an item, and it helps you ramp by giving you that extra ink every single turn. The really cool thing about it is that you can ink uninkables with it, so that way you can kind of get away with playing a few more uninkables in your deck than you normally would. But all around, this is the best card in the deck. This is what you want to be mulliganing for and playing as fast as possible. The other main card for your ramp package is one jump ahead. So this, the best thing you can do is go turn 2, 1 jump, and then next turn you get to play Fishbone Quill and go up to 5 ink, and then you get to go to 7 ink the turn following that, and you just jump up that curve really quickly. So 1 jump ahead, Fishbone Quill, those are the cards that I think you should be mulliganing for the most aggressively. Following that is one of the best cards in this item deck for your mid-game, your engine going is Harem Flaversham, ETB, or Quest. You can banish one of your items to draw 2 cards. So basically, you're going to just use your Fishbone Quills, your 1 jump aheads to get ahead on ink early, and then you're going to be low on cards, but then you get to start cashing in your items with Flaversham to draw more cards to keep you going. And what is the best item for Flaversham, you say? That is Popsicle. 1 mana item, when you play this card, draw a card, and then banish this item to remove 2 damage. That doesn't come up very often, but do look for opportunities to utilize the Popsicle because it does come up more than you think for that heal 2. But really what you want to kind of do is turn 1, play a Popsicle, then you want to 1 jump, then you want to play the Fishbone Quill, and then you want to start Flavershaming away these Popsicles to draw more Popsicles and draw more cards and just keep churning through the deck. The other payoff we have for having so many items in our deck is Tamatoa. So Tamatoa is an 8-drop. This is kind of our big end-game card. So it's a 5/8, so it's very hard for any non-be-prepared deck to get off the table just because it's so high willpower. And then when you play him or when you quest with him, you get to bring back one of these items from your discard back to your hand. So you get to rebuy those Popsicles, you get to rebuy those Fishbone Quills after you've sacrifice them with Flaversham, right, to keep drawing more cards, and it's kind of also drawing you cards. And then he also gets +1 lore for every item you have in play. So in that late game, you're going to play a Tamatoa, you're going to already have a Fishbone Quill, maybe a Popsicle, you're going to get back another Popsicle, he's going to start questing for 4, 5, even 6 sometimes, and that just puts the game away so quickly. And from set 3, one of the reasons that this deck has really popped up in popularity and why I think it's one of the best decks right now is this card, Lucky Dime. So Lucky Dime is an item, so it boosts all of our item synergies, and it also has tap, pay 2, choose a character of yours, and gain lore equal to its lore. So if you have a Tamatoa in play that's questing for 5, you play a Lucky Dime, and that doubles your Tamatoa's value, right? So you get to go quest with Tamatoa, gain 5, activate Lucky Dime, gain another 5, and just skyrocket that lore total, and really, really end those games very quickly once you've taken control. The other cards that kind of pay us off or one of the main other cards that pays us off for ramping is Gaston. Gaston just fits all of the glue of this deck, right? It's another body that draws cards. It's another high lore with questing for 3. So it combos really well with Lucky Dime. And being a 4/4 body just kind of means that it can also challenge very well and kind of just be a big body on board. So it's that perfect mid-game card for this deck. Next, we got 4 Be Prepareds. This is how you catch up against those aggro decks and those other character-based decks, especially when you can do it as early as turn 4 in a lot of these matchups. And I wouldn't ever play less than 4 in this style deck. This is like your ultimate catch-up card and the card you're going to be looking for in that mid-game to let your bigger characters take over after you've Be Prepared. And then at the very top of our curve, we've got 4 Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. So ETB, Banished Trojan Character, a quest for 2. This card is just the biggest monster in Lorcana. So you just spend all this time ramping, you get to this top end, and you just start, be prepared, clear the board, they play something, you go Maleficent, Dragon it, I have a 7/5, what are you going to do? And yeah, this is great. And then next we've got Madame Medusa. I'm currently on 2 Madame Medusas. This card basically destroys everything. It banishes all of the things out of Steel, Beast Tragic Hero, Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. It answers all of that stuff. On a well-sized body as well. Doesn't quest for a lot, but that's okay because it's just doing so much heavy lifting, getting rid of those troublesome characters. After that, we've got 4 Maui. Maui being the premier Ruby removal spell. Rush, Reckless, 6/5. The other really important thing for Maui in set 3 metagame in particular is Maui is your best answer to opposing locations. Locations can be really hard for you to get off the board outside of Maui, but Maui just coming down and attacking them for 6 usually helps get them off the board immediately. They need something like a McDuck Manor or something that has a really, really high willpower to avoid their location from just being eviscerated by Maui. And since we're playing Maui, we can add to our item count with some Maui's fishhooks. Maui gives them the free activation, but really, this is just a good value item. It helps you protect key pieces by giving them evasive. It helps you attack into those locations or some high willpower characters by giving the +3. It just kind of fills a lot of roles in the deck to kind of be an item that does a few random things here and there that really help out. And it's inkable, so no downside there. Next, I've got a couple Develop Your Brains and a couple Grandma Talas. Both of these are just more card draw, more filtering to help you kind of churn through those deck and find these key pieces like the Be Prepared, the Fishbone Quills, the Flavershams, whatever you're kind of looking for. It just helps you dig deeper to find those cards. This deck can kind of run out of cards quickly, so having cards like Grandma Tala and Develop Your Brain to help you keep churning is really, really important. And then I have kind of switched back. Currently, I'm playing 4 McDuck Manor. McDuck Manor, really, really hard to deal with. Comes down early. It's inkable. Quest for 2. You can just kind of put a McDuck Manor on the table, then cast Be Prepared, and then they're just so far behind. It's so hard for them to answer it, and them trying to answer it requires them to play more characters on the board, and then you just Be Prepared them again, and then you're just off, home free. The main reason I've gone back to playing McDuck Manor is because I wanted to try out Hey Hey. So this deck, the biggest weakness is against aggro decks, opposing aggro decks, aggressive, really fast lore decks. You can sometimes get too far behind too quickly. They get up to like 10, 12 lore on turn 3 or 4, and you're really far behind. You get to Be Prepared, you clean it all up, but then at that point they're at like 16, and then you have to basically kill every single thing they play with no breathing room, and that can be really hard to do. So having another early drop like Hey Hey that not only can help disrupt their lore count and keep it a little bit lower so you have those times, but also a payoff for having McDuck Manor in our deck helps just kind of, fill that void in that against those aggressive decks. Also against the aggressive decks, we've got 4 Queen of Hearts. This is just a 2 mana or 2 ink, 2/2 rush. Comes in, kills basically anything out of those aggro decks. You really feel good whenever you get to get rid of a Piglet or a Lilo or any of those type of characters. Queen of Hearts is just living, her best life whenever those things hit the table. And finally, we got a couple of one-ofs that I just really enjoy. One, Scar, Vicious Cheater. This card has won me a lot of games that would have been unwinnable otherwise. There's a lot of Tiana that's starting to float around here and there. You can't Be Prepared whenever they have Tiana exerted. But Scar, in those like aggro matchups where they're questing and turning things sideways a lot, kind of just comes in and cleans up an entire board all on his own. Basically a super-powered Maui in that regard. And then finally, I've got a one of Hades. Excuse me. I got a one of Hades. So Hades is really good. It's kind of a little bit of a tech card for Mufasa decks, which I think are going to be kind of a sleeper hit. Being able to come down and answer Mufasa cleanly without them getting extra value out of it is really important. But also just being another Maleficent Dragon that kind of just comes in and answers anything that your opponent's got going on is great. And yeah, that's the deck. I've been having a lot of fun playing it, and I would highly suggest testing it out, especially for those set championships coming up. Thank y'all. Have a good time.